So should I rent or should I buy? So what are the pros and the cons of each? Pros are it's a low upfront cost. Basically, you just need 1 to 2 months of security deposit. You can leave easily. You can break a lease. You might have to pay a few months, but that's about it. Maintenance is included, so you don't have to worry about when your heater or your air conditioner breaks. That's included. And if you have the money that you could have put as the down payment, you can actually invest that, and I'll show you how that works out. One of the cons I see with renting, prices go up fast. It's usually 3 or 4%, and it could be more in some years and less in others, but it's usually somewhere in between there. You don't build any equity, you don't own anything. And you can't repaint it, you can't change the kitchen or a bathroom. So if there's something you don't like about the place, the only thing you can really do is get up and move, and that has costs associated with that. Also, taxes, you can't write off anything with the apartment. Whereas with a house, you can deduct basically the interest that you pay on your mortgage. You can also deduct the taxes that you pay. Here, the person that owns the property gets to deduct the taxes that they pay on the property as well as their maintenance and other things because it's a business, so it's a little bit different. If I were to buy a house, well, the one thing is the principal and interest payments stay the same throughout the entire course of the loan as long as you get a fixed rate mortgage. Do not get an ARM or an adjustable rate mortgage. It has burned people in the past. Interest rates are going up right now. They could go higher. If you look back in the 1980s, they went as high as 18%. So when you're looking at something around 7%, it could be much worse. Another pro is every time you make your payment towards that principal, you're building equity. And the house can also appreciate in value, which also builds equity. You can change or redesign anything you really want in the house as long as you get a permit for it, depending on what it is. You have leverage. So if I just put, say, 3 to 20% down on the house, and the house goes up by 4%, I don't just make 4% on the 20%, I make 4% on 100% of the value of the home. Now that could work both ways, because if the price goes down by 20% and you only have 20% equity to start with, you lose 100% equity if you sold it at that point in time. That's when people are considered underwater. Taxes, at least when you buy a house, you could, if you itemize, you could deduct your mortgage interest as well as the property taxes. And there's some things where you can do upgrades where you can insulate the home, which saves you money over the long run, and at the moment you get like about 30% back in terms of credit if it's a smart energy type things. Or if I install something like solar panels or things along those lines, I can also get a 30% credit back for whatever those costs were, and now I generate my own electricity. A couple of tax advantages, and it looks like they're adding a few more. Some of the cons, you have an upfront cost that's pretty high, so again, that's 3 to 20% down payment. You'll have some closing costs, loan origination fees, as well as probably a 1 to 2% transfer tax. Right now is not a common time in history. Usually it was much harder to sell homes. You would usually have around 6 months supply with a balanced housing market. Right now, we only have 2 months of supply. You want to have about 6 months supply for a balanced housing market. So right now it's really a seller's market still. When you do sell a house, generally you'll lose about 6 to 8% at the sale. And that's because, well, you have 1% state transfer tax. You're going to pay for moving costs. There's also some closing costs. You're going to pay a commission if you use a real estate agent. You're also going to pay the buyer's agent out of the seller's money. While you own the property, you would assume you have about a 1% cost of maintenance. Stuff breaks. Basically, it's 100% on you to fix it, unless you get like a home warranty, and they're not the best because they're trying to save money as well. All right, let's get into some numbers. So let's say, for example, I bought the median home right now, which is $430,000 in the US. If you live out in California, it might be $1 million. If you live out in other areas, it might be $250,000. But overall, the median home price in the US is about $430,000 right now. If you wanted to put 20% down, that would be $86,000. You're going to pay probably a 1% state transfer tax when you do that, so that's $4,300. There's some other fees, but I'm not going to get into all the details. These are the bigger ones at the moment. There's some loan origination fees and other fees, but they're different from place to place, so I'll just start with this. We're going to assume that there's a 4% growth in the property value, and we're going to assume that the prices go up on rent by about 3 or 4%, so we'll just say 4%. If I put this in a mortgage calculator, effectively I'm paying $2,290 for principal and interest payments. I'm just doing this as a 30-year fixed rate mortgage to go through the example. I'm going to assume each month I'm going to pay about $500 in property taxes. In addition, you'll pay $150 per month, usually in homeowners insurance. That mortgage payment will show up as $2,940 per month. Again, don't forget that maintenance cost because they will creep up, so you want to put some money aside every month. So I'll put another $360 away per month just for repairs. So the principal and interest, that's a fixed cost. It's not going to change through the life of the loan. But the taxes, insurance, and repairs over time will go up. So I'm going to say about $1,010 per month can increase. And I'll say it goes up by 4% just in general. So for that first year, you're paying $3,300 per month total. And you will have put down $86,000 plus some transfer taxes and other fees. So that's what they're paying. Now, year after year, the $2,290, that stays the same up until year 30. Year 31, guess what? You've paid off the mortgage, therefore you have $0 towards the mortgage. But you're still going to have taxes, insurance, and maintenance fees and things like that. So I put them here and increase them over the years. You can see them here. The home value will have grown, most likely, assuming a 4% rate of growth, over that 30 years to about $1.4 million that could be sold at that point in time. Now let's go to the renter. The average rent currently in the US is a little bit over $2,000. Renter's insurance is around $20 per month, so we're going to say that their payment is $2,020 per month year one. They are going to have to put down $2,000 of a security deposit. Now, let's say they had that same $90,300 over here, and they took out that $2,000 for the security, so they're left with $88,300 to invest. The S&P 500 over the last 30 years has returned a 10.7% return year over year. Again, that's an average. Some years it goes up 30%, some years it goes down 20-30%. All investments carry risk and can lose value. Past performance does not guarantee future performance. But that being said, if we assume this rate of return and we invested it for all 30 years, we'd end up with $1.9 million in our retirement or other account. I like 401ks, IRAs, things like that, just because they're tax advantaged. They would end up with $1.9 million, whereas this house is worth $1.4 million. The rent, on the other hand, the rent never ends. So where the homeowner basically gets out of that mortgage once they pay it off, the rent keeps going up. So if this goes up by 4% per year, at the year 31, that renter would be paying $6,814 per month, whereas the homeowner would only be paying $3,407 per month. And at that point, this homeowner could be investing that same amount of money, that $2,290. Or you could even say the difference of this, it would actually be $3,400 roughly. Different options, that's how something like that could play out. The thing to keep note of is when you're looking to rent versus buy, one, have a good credit score no matter what. Try to get it above 740. And if you're going to do something for less than 5 years, I would always rent. If I'm going to do something for, say, 7 or longer years, I would buy. The break-even point is somewhere between 5 to 7 years in most cases. It depends on your interest rate. This is assuming a 7% interest rate. If you enjoyed watching this, please subscribe. I go over a lot of financial education, and I'll cover things such as how to invest, how to make more money, and how to save, especially on taxes. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.